Welcome to Planted. My name is Ian Cooke. I'm on a mission to help you do more with plants. I've had the chance to travel to over 55 countries, and I started out in the industry back in the early 80s. As you can see, I'm next to my propagator, which is full of lots of secrets that I can't share with you just yet. Now, this video is all about planning your work, and as we're at the beginning of the year, this is a great time to start to put together what it is that you want to do, and then when to do it. Those two things have to go together. I think that the biggest setback that most gardeners have is lots of enthusiasm, but they don't have the patience or the focus to do that job at the right time within the season. So I'm going to show you a planner, my planner, that I think will help you out greatly. It'll get you on the right track. So I hope you enjoy it, and here we go. What I have in front of me is this very easy to make planner. Lots of books have got planners, lots of websites have got planners, but they tend to feature items not relevant to you, and you somehow have to figure out which bits to keep and which bits you don't want to keep. So what we have is months across the top and then a bunch of rows. You're up to you how many rows. And I've just got 4 columns in each month. This helps me differentiate between first week, second week, mid-month, and the end of the month. So that works very well. Now, when you come to plan your year, you kind of jump in and you think to yourself, well, you know, what we've got is we've got some planting in here, and maybe we'll do some construction over here towards the end of the year, and then we're going to have an irrigation system put in then, and we'll do some summer color here, and you get this kind of mishmash of projects. Very difficult to know what's what. So rather than do that, there's a few things that you need to put in place. And we've got a clock change, which is in March, and then also in November. So the clocks spring forward in March. So here, this is a very big delineating factor. We get an extra hour's daylight. We don't really, we just get up earlier. And then in November, also we get the fall back. We lose an hour. So that means that we've got greater productivity in that time frame. Then we've got our frosts. Now our frosts change with our zone. And here, where I am, in Connecticut, we've got our last frost is in the end of April. Now this is a range, it's not absolutely fixed and finite. So I'll just write frost, and then we go into October, and it's in late October that we have our first frost. So this is our daylight, and this is our temperature change. So what we have here is not only no frost, but also really good daylight. Now this distance is set by our growing zone. Growing zone. I'm in 7A, and your growing zone sets your frost date. This is set by your growing zone. So it's very easy. Just put your zip code into your search engine and then add growing zone, and you'll see a whole bunch of different websites with different information which will let you identify whether you are the same as us in a 7A, or if you're 6A, then you're colder. Then these dates here would move closer together. As the number increases, that means that you're warmer, and these dates would go further apart. So someone in Maine would have these very close together. Somebody down in Florida would have them much further apart. So those are the 2 most basic things to add to start to help you make a plan to know not only what to do, but when to do it. So let's tidy up this rather scruffy drawing into this. Now you can see here it's got the same layout with the months across the top, but I've added in our clock change, and also again here in November, And then here is our last frost and our first frost. And then you've got your growing zone. I am a 7B. If you're trying to grow plants and you don't know what they are, sorry, I'm not 7B. See, 7A. Got all carried away there. So I'm a 7A. Some people would say we're 6B, but living near the coast, we get a bit of relief. Now, I think that many people are taught to grow plants by grandparents or friends that grow up in a certain zone. So they might be planting out dahlias on a certain date that they did, but if your growing zone is different, then that's not going to work for you. So you have to find your zone, which will then help you find your growing date. So that's very straightforward, nothing very difficult there. But what we want to do now is add a whole bunch of other factors. Now, I'm a big fan of this date, this mid-March. I think that this is the most amazing planting period. So what we have is most of March, well, half of March, all of April and all of May. That's a planting window. And then what we have in September is another planting window going through October. Now, this is not hard and fast. Early September can be quite warm, and if you can delay your planting, that's good. But it's a window when you can plant, and the soil's warm, and it'll help the roots establish. But if you had to pinch a little bit and come into November, there's nothing wrong with that. But this is the holy grail of the planting zone. What that means is that this area here is no planting. June, July, and August. That's not the time that you should be putting plants in the ground. Now let's just add another feature. The longest day comes in the second half of June, so we'll just draw a line down there. That's very important. Longest day. The reason I put that in is that day length is increasing as you get to that, and then day length will start to decrease as you come away from it. This is a very important thing to bear in mind. Now, we've got our planting windows. This window and this window, trees, shrubs, perennials, ground cover, grasses, all sorts of plants, all hardy outdoor plants can go in this window and this window. But let's make it a little more, I don't know, logical. Here, this is where we should put in irrigation. If we've got an irrigation system, we don't want to have it installed or set up before the last frost. We want it after the last frost. Otherwise, it could explode and the ice will do a lot of damage to your emitters and your pipe work. So irrigation goes in after the last frost, and then, not surprisingly, irrigation would be removed before the last frost. Irrigation system set up, irrigation taken down. So that's pretty straightforward. We've got the major part here of our layout. We can see that we've got this increase in day length, which really gets plants going. There you go, that's a bit better. The increase in day length really gets plants going. And as it starts to decrease, we have a shortening day length, which does have an effect on plant growth. But if anybody were to come into planting a garden with this plan, and there's more details to go on to it, you could start to really push them in the right direction. Let's take this further forward. So that's that plan that you just saw, made nice and tidy. No planting, ideal planting, ideal planting, irrigation setup, irrigation setup. So now we're going to add a lot more detail to this. And the first thing is pruning. I get asked about pruning all the time, and I have had great success pruning in this time frame here, early March. We've come through the majority of, well, we've come through the winter. We've got a day length change coming very, very soon. the plants are just budding out or they're dormant, and you can see what's alive and you can see what's dead. So you can prune with a degree of confidence. Now, something to bear this in mind. If you are pruning plants that fruit on last year's wood, that is those shoots that were that emerged from the plant last summer, and you start pruning now, you prune off all the flower buds. So you have to take care not to prune off those early flowering plants or those plants that flower on last year's wood. But you can prune to shape. You can do it there, and there's also another great window here when you can also prune. Now, I'm talking about in pruning shape. If plants get too big, these are the two windows that you should do it in. You don't need to be doing any heavy pruning in this window, but late February, which is really early spring, and then in fall are the two better times to do it. Now let's fill in some gaps here. If this is our frost date, and we know that we've got water available, that makes this a very good time to do summer colour. So all those plants are the tender annuals, petunias, begonias, a whole range of plants that if they get put in April, before the last frost, they'd get zapped. But they can go in after that last frost and with a degree of success. And you really should be planting them in May. You could pinch a little bit of June. But remember, on that other picture, we had the increasing day length going up until June, and then it goes down again. You want your plants in with an increasing day length. That really gets them going. So that's when you put in your summer colour. And then if we back that up, this is a great month, a great time here to plant vegetables. So this is planting things like carrots, potatoes, beetroot, peas. Get them in March, and they'll be in the ground starting to put out shoots. And then when we get into our warmer April part, they'll be off to the races. So this is before a frost, and this is after a frost. Now, it's a logical step that with this frost date, this is when our greenhouse would be absolutely humming. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll have my greenhouse full to the gills, and then backing on from that, I'll have my propagator. Will be going full tilt. So that's in January and February. Then plants go from the propagator into the greenhouse, and then from the greenhouse they put on more growth and more roots. Then they'll go from there into plants and pots and to give me my summer colour. So you can see how you get this nice flow. It's all flowing in the right direction, and it all happens before that drop dead date of the longest day. That's pretty straightforward. Now, we've got the longest day, we've got more pruning, and there's a little something that I want to add in here. And I did a video on this, and it's called Secret Summer Pruning. Early August, we've got another pruning window, but it's specifically for the colour plants. Secret Prune. This is not for things like trees and shrubs that stay in your garden all year round. This is very much for those plants that have got that colour. If you can give them a prune early August, you've still got from this period all the way through until mid-October. You've got another 8 weeks. Another 8 weeks of growth. If you wait until September to prune, the day length is coming down and they won't do very much. So this early August works very well. Now let's just tidy up that drawing and we'll go to this. So that's all the detail that we've just discussed, showing you a wide range of activities, what to do and when to do it. Now, the thing to add to this is hard construction. If you want to have a patio built or a new path or some outdoor lights, you'll just have to pick a time when you and your contractor can work together and then work around it. But the biggest problem I come across when people talk to me about successful plants and planting is they do the wrong job Sorry, they try and do the right job at the wrong time of year, or even worse, is the wrong job at the wrong time of the year. Now, it's not unusual for people in June to get really excited about plants and planting and think that this is the time right there to start doing this, and it's just too late. The time to do this is then. This should be where you sit out in your garden, you kick back with a nice drink of your choice and watch the world go by. And then any work that we want to plan for the fall, we actually do in the fall. This is another ideal planting time with some pruning for good measure. So if there's one thing this plan is designed to do, is to get you to do the right job at the right time. And you can very easily print your own year planner, 4 columns per month, find out, enter when your clocks change, enter your last frost, enter your first frost, which will come from your growing zone, enter the longest day, add in the secret pruning in early August for your summer colour, plant your vegetables, get your propagator, your greenhouse, and your summer all going in the right direction. And if you've had failures in the past, it's because you've been trying to grow plants out of sequence. This plan will help you with that sequence. So copy it, use it. Please post your own planning and layouts for your own workflow in the comments below. You're welcome to forward this to anybody. There's no protection on it whatsoever. It's out there for all to use. Happy gardening, and thank you for watching Planted with Ian Cooke. Bye for now.